After long requests, I am going to talk about why I stopped drinking. Why did I get sober from alcohol? Well, let's jump right into it. When did I start drinking? I started drinking about the age of 15, 16, about as soon as I could drive and get some independence. Me and my friends, like young teenage boys do, find a gap in time where our parents are gone, started ganking beers. I specifically had a buddy whose dad had a whole beer fridge in his man cave, so we had a pretty frequent spot, and he didn't care, or at least he didn't count his beers to tell that they were missing. So it was a pretty regular thing that we did. Starting about 15, 16 years old, anytime we knew we had a few hours where we could sit and drink or smoke or do whatever, we did that because we were a bunch of kids from the Midwest, and to our parents and our teachers and everything, we were punk kids with no futures. So about the age of 18, after dealing with some life circumstances that you guys can hear in other videos about having a child, thinking it was mine, finding out the girl cheated after raising the kid for almost a year, I fell into a pretty dark hole, lost really everything that I had known. I had moved out when I was 17 years old, moved out of my mom's house. I didn't have a good relationship with my dad. I had really just kind of hopped from different babysitters and families and stuff like that throughout my life to find identity and figure out who I was. I always found it through entertainment, and unfortunately, I quickly found it in substances. So it just became a part of my identity, drinking. In my upbringing, when I did get to spend time with my father, him or his members of his family were always drinking. The guys were always having a few beers, kicking back, cutting up, talking about accomplishments, talking about sports. So I grew up thinking that's what men do. It was really my only example, and it wasn't much of an example because he wasn't around a whole lot. So I just kind of grew up with really no male example. My grandfather was around a lot, who just recently passed away. And early in my life, he drank a lot. So he would go to work all day, and then he would come home, and he was around for our family, but early in my life, he drank a lot. So all the men in my life drank. It was just something that coming up, I felt like all my friends' dads drank as soon as they got off work, and on the weekends it was always coolers with beers and the boys and watching football. Maybe it's just a Midwest thing, but that's kind of the upbringing, that mentality we came up with. After that, I had moved out from my parents' house, my mother's house, at 17 years old, and I got my own apartment where it had pretty much turned into a party pad for all my friends that were still in high school. Now they could just have a place to come do it and pretty much be good. They're not going to get in trouble for it because it's my apartment. No one can tell us shit. So we pretty much just did that for a year. We just drank and did drugs and did hallucinogens and did all kinds of stuff and really just ran away. I now have found that we were just disassociating from all the childhood trauma and lack of coping mechanism skills that we had, and we just dove head first into the only thing that was available, drugs and alcohol. And it was familiar to us because we had been around it, and due to the lack of structure, I guess, and my friend group's upbringing, we knew exactly what our fix was and where to get it. Life became pretty unmanageable pretty quickly after doing that. I was admitted by my mother into a state-funded detox facility for 24 hours to detox off of a night of taking triple C's and drinking all night. So I was tripping pretty hard on triple C's for about 10 hours, and she didn't know what to do. So put me in a detox facility. When she got me out, she's like, hey, look, I'll make you a deal. I'll pay for all your apartment and everything, but you got to join the military. You got to go, and I got a recruiter that's willing to talk to you. I think you need to do this. So I joined the military. I joined, and guess what's big in the military? Fucking drinking. Drinking is pretty big. It's, when you're done with your duty day, you go drink with the boys, and you drink all night, and so what? If you have a battalion death run at 4 a.m., you just stroll in drunk. Everybody knows you're probably drunk. They're joking about it. They might make you do a few push-ups, but hey, man, you soldiered on, you got through it. That means you're a man. So only solidifying even more that a man, after his day, he he not only deserves, but he is in a sense entitled to drink. During basic training, I met my first wife and brought all these new ideals and things into what I thought being a father, and she had a daughter, a young daughter at the time. And I came into step parenthood at the age of 18-ish, almost 19 years old, and I was completely broken. I had no self-identity, I had no coping skills, I had no communication skills, I really had no positive relationships to base myself off of as to what to do going forward. So I self-destructed even further, and now I just did it under the tag of I was in the military. I was a veteran, but I hadn't deployed yet at this time. My life just kind of did as some lives will do, and I guess manageable alcoholism, or productive alcoholism, whatever they call it, I forget the term. But yeah, I was managing through alcoholism. I was drinking every single day, getting drunk every night, just drunk enough to where I could sleep and ignore the fact that I wasn't happy, but not so drunk that I wasn't going to be able to function the next day and go to work. I did that about the entirety of my first marriage, about 3.5 years. Then we separated all the time, finally got divorced right after my deployment in 2015, where I had already gotten 2 DUIs during that marriage, and I was almost not allowed to go on my deployment because of my second DUI. I did everything I needed to do, got on that deployment. Immediately, as soon as I got some distance, I started drinking again. Immediately got in trouble on deployment for drinking, and I knew at this time that I had a severe issue with alcohol, that I was using it to cope. I had already been through 2 probations and house arrest and a divorce and all kinds of other stuff, trouble with the military. I knew I had a problem. I just felt like at that point I had dug myself in such a physical hole. Everyone reminded me every time I went to a detox facility or rehab or talked to anyone, if you keep doing this, you could fall out and have a seizure, and when you do try to stop drinking, and Cam, you could die. Alcohol and benzos are the 2 things that you can actually die from withdrawing from. And outside of all the hope and positivity that I had, those 2 things stuck in my head like a plague. Alcohol and benzos are the only 2 things you can die from withdrawing from. Well, that's not a good thing to tell an alcoholic, because that just gives them a good reason to keep drinking. So I did that. I had been used to probation and going through the system, so I knew when I could drink and get by and not raise too many alarms until I got out of these systems that were watching over me and get back to being out of sight, out of mind, and just do my thing. But I convinced myself yet again, this time I'll manage it. I've gotten in enough trouble. I've come to enough self-realization that I know when I have 3, that'll be it. And I tried that for a while. I got divorced, and I met my now wife, and we came here to Tennessee, and we started our new life, and I did that for a little bit. And it quickly got out of control. 3 went to 6, 6 went to 9, 9 went to 12. I was losing jobs all the time. 12 went to 24 because I wasn't working, so I was just drinking all day. 24 went to 30. And then 30 just turned into days spent at the bar as soon as they opened at 11, drinking beer constantly, taking shots whenever somebody at the bar buys one, because we're a bunch of degenerates. But now I have a deployment story, and I'm in a military town, so it's justified. People don't raise concern. You're just a veteran doing what vets do. October 15th, 2016, I got my 3rd DUI. I was arrested. My wife didn't know, she wasn't my wife then, didn't know where I was for 5 days, got put in jail, and was facing 7 to 10 years in prison. It was my 3rd DUI. They couldn't run me congruent because I had never got my first one in Ohio, second one in Indiana, 3rd one in Tennessee, so luckily they did not run me as a habitual offender, but they very well could have. My wife now got me the best lawyer that the city had, and she got me put in the Veterans Treatment Court that truly saved my life. I got put in the Veterans Treatment Court of Montgomery County, which is where I live, and they gave me the tools. They gave me the tools to dig deep as to why I was drinking. Jail gave me the opportunity to involuntarily sober up and get past the withdrawal stage that I was so afraid of. And once I got past it, I came alive. And that's kind of how that program was designed. I give all the credit to my wife, and I give a lot of credit to that program, because whoever structured that program really knew what they were doing. They were an addict or an alcoholic, because in that program it starts through almost like going through the phases of grieving. Like you go through all these different, like, I don't have a fucking problem, and kind of pissed, and then like, all right, man, cool. No one's telling you have to admit that you have a problem, but because you're in this course, you will go to 2 AA meetings a day in the beginning, and you go to them, and in the beginning you're like, it fucking sucks, I don't want to be here, blah, 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 blah. But you do it because you have to. It's court mandated. Then you go enough and you start kind of like dropping these shields, because people see right through you. They're your kind. Now, I'm not an advocate for AA. I don't go. I've been almost 5 years sober from alcohol in October. But yeah, I don't go to AA. I just, in my opinion, it's just something I don't do anymore. And to get right to the heart of the message that I'll have is, I was sitting in a jail cell for the last time. And I just remember, they had told me that this was pretty serious. I knew that I had finally found a woman that I loved more than alcohol. I just couldn't get away from the alcohol. I couldn't get the grip off of me, for lack of a better term. I just couldn't shake my old routine of using it to cope. And I sat in the jail cell as sober as I had probably been in, at that time, I don't know, 7-8 years, just newly 4 days sober. And I remember it was almost like a voice. It was my own voice in my own head, but it was almost like it was a godlike voice. And it's just like, man, are you done? Like, are you done yet? Are you really done? Because if you're done and you mean it, and something inside me told myself, like, man, I'm you, so I know if you really mean it. But I felt like the universe was speaking to me. It was like, man, I know if you really mean it, so dig deep and answer this question. You got nothing but time. You're locked in a suicide watch cell. Are you really ready to be done? Are you ready to give this shit up? Because if you are, I'll take you on a ride and a journey that you never thought possible. And you'll go and you'll tell your story and you'll help other people so they don't have to suffer the way you do. But you got to get it together first. I need you, like Noah in the ark, to pick up the hammer and start building this thing. I need you to stop messing around all the time. Stop sitting around feeling bad for yourself. This is what happens when you sit around feeling bad for yourself. All these people in here feel sorry for themselves. They're all justifying why they shouldn't be in here, yet you're all here. So what are you going to do about it? I remember the next thought after that was, if you do what you know you're supposed to do, I'll get you out of here. I'll get you out of here and you'll know a life better than you ever dreamed of. And within 5 minutes, a guard came up and tapped on my door and said, your fiance got you a lawyer. He'll be here in 5 minutes. Get your stuff. Get ready, which means I was going home. I went down, talked to my lawyer. He said, hey, your wife hired me. You're good. You're good. We got you. You're going to be in a veterans treatment court. As long as you don't mess up again, you shouldn't see the inside of a jail cell again. And from that moment forward, in many AA meetings, conversations with fellow alcoholics and friends and loved ones, and with the support of my wife and my kids, and really living for them and living to be the best version of myself that I can be for them, I just decided on that day when I walked out of that jail cell with my now wife, hand in hand, after that support that she showed me, I think that was all the support I ever needed in my upbringing happened by the angel that my wife is, and just by her going, hey, no matter what this life brings, no marriage or anything, I'm here for it. You're my person, and we're gonna figure this thing out. And her doing that, no matter, even though she didn't know, that was just the safety and the comfort that I guess, triggered something inside me that just healed something enough to where I go, it's not that I can't drink anymore. I'm almost 5 years sober. There's no law saying I can't, I'm not going to go back to jail if I go down to the gas station and get a beer. It's just something I don't do anymore. My life is hard to manage, and I'm not able to control that substance. Diabetics can't control sugar. It doesn't make them a bad person. It's just there's severe ramifications in their life if they do it. So, smart diabetics control their sugar intake. Now, I don't necessarily label myself as like an alcoholic. Sorry, my arms are extremely sore because I just started going back to the gym. Odd flex, but okay. It's one of those things, man. You got to do it for you. And whatever that reason for you will be different. Some people, it's their kids. I started drinking and I used my oldest daughter in our failing relationship. I blamed her mom and all the other things, and I didn't take any responsibility for the way that I was acting. And once I started doing that, my relationship with my first daughter got immensely better. I got sober, and now I have more time with her, and now I have time sober, and things are seemingly going to get much better, and now I have a social media career where I get to share my story with y'all and hopefully help you in some way. So, I know in 2021, substance abuse is raging with the coronavirus and these lockdowns, and it looks like there may be another national lockdown. I just want you guys to know that disassociation is whenever you are trying to escape your current situation by scrolling on social media, taking a drink, hitting a puff, going to the gym to escape. I'm not saying you can't have healthy vices. Going to the gym is great. But as I just talked about on the live interview I did on Instagram, if you're not following me on there, please do, @Williamson Official. I was talking about how anything can turn into a habit and then an addiction. If you try to escape into it, even if it's playing golf. If every time you and your spouse get in a fight, you go and play golf, well, you're disassociating. Some would say you're becoming addicted to golf. All these labels and all these stigmas that we put on things make it very difficult for some people to get out of them because the label itself feels bigger than they are. But guess what else is bigger than you are? But it's possible as well. Recovery. Getting out of that life. The life that is possible, for the 5 years from now, that's bigger than you. You just don't believe in that. You believe that the addiction is bigger than you and that will always have the grip over you. And what you believe is your reality. So I want to challenge anyone out there struggling, if you turn this video on because you maybe were trying to connect to somebody else who stopped drinking, all I can tell you is heal the hurt that's inside of you. Stop running from it. Every time you want to go take a hit or take a drink, just stop in that moment and understand, this is that moment. This is that moment where something is coming up in me that I need to fix. I need to heal from. Look at the thoughts you have when you want to drink. Look at the smells that are around you. Think of where you go to mentally. Just dedicate to yourself, not to anyone else. It's just something you don't do anymore. You can have 1 million beverages in the world. You just don't have ones that have alcohol in it anymore. There's 1 billion other ones. And they're great. Coffee. It's amazing. It's great. You know what I'm saying? People make a big deal about it. And then they stack labels and stigmas on them and they allow them to become giants. I hope this story helped you guys. If it did, please thumbs up, subscribe. Leave us a review. If you go over to Road to Redemption Podcast on iTunes, leave us reviews there. And all that, comment with us. Let us know what you think. We love you more than anything. And we're here for you, baby. So let us know if you need anything. The Gangster of Love, signing out.